If you are a business owner, entrepreneur, or high achiever, it's possible that this one word that you're using multiple times a day is the exact source of all of your stress, overwhelm, sabotage, and it's hurting your performance and your relationships. Do you want to know what it is? Well, stick around because I've got to just make this video because I have been hearing this a lot with the clients that I work with in the one-on-one sessions with a lot of high achievers, business owners, and I'm guessing if you are watching this video or if you're listening to the podcast version, then you're somebody who likes to push yourself, somebody who has a growth mindset. You want to get better. And with that comes a really high standard. But what happens when we don't live up to that standard? And a lot of times that standard is perfection. And the truth is, you and I are not perfect. We are going to make mistakes. We are going to fail. And so our response in those moments is ultimately what dictates how we feel on a moment by moment basis. And the word that I'm talking about that creates all of the stress that we have is the word should. And I first learned about how important this was from my mindset coach like 3 or 4 years ago. And she pointed out that I was shoulding on myself constantly. I should have woken up earlier. I should have gotten more done this week. I should have gotten more done this morning before I started my day. They should have worked harder. They should have helped me out more. And it's just should. And so I almost want you to think about over the past 24 hours, the past week, how many times have you actually said that either to yourself, thinking about your own standard, or thinking about other people around you? This could be the people that you love the most. This could be the people on your team. This could be other family members. And so the thing is that this word, when you use it, it almost puts the expectation where you are comparing whatever you did to this ideal, this standard of perfection. And what that creates is it creates a gap. And there's a book that talks about this by Dr. Benjamin Hardy. He refers to it as the gap versus the gain. And so when you are comparing what you've done to an ideal of perfection, there's always a gap. And that gap leaves us with the feeling of not achieving enough, which creates stress, which creates overwhelm, which creates depression, creates anxiety. It just creates a lower energy state. And so knowing that so many people struggle with this, it means that number one, we need to be aware if we're using it in the past, and we need to start to recognize the moments and the events when that should trigger pops up for us. And when we do, we need to replace it with something else. And so as you're going through your day or as you're going through your week and you start to notice yourself saying, I should have gotten up earlier. That person should be working harder. That person should be working for me or working harder for me. You want to catch it and start to replace it with just could or must. And so here's what happens when you start to replace should with could or must. So instead of saying like, I should have gotten up earlier or I should have gotten more done this week, you say, I could have gotten up earlier and I could have gotten more done this week. And you start to recognize that what happened was a result of the decisions that you made. And I could have done it, but I didn't. But what that means is since it came down to the decisions that you made, you can make new decisions and then you can get different results. It also helps us understand that a lot of times the decisions that we make lead to results, but those results aren't 100% in our control sometimes. And so that's just one example of changing it from should to could. But then you can also use must instead of should. So I must get up earlier. I must get more done this week or next week. And so must is a different type of energy. You can almost just feel it when you use that language. And a must starts to become part of your standard. A should is like, I should probably do that. But I must do that means that you're 100% committed to changing your decisions and your habits moving forward. And so do you understand and can you kind of feel like the difference in the energy when you start to replace should with could or must? And it starts to take control back to you in your decisions and making that part of your standard rather than should, which is very much leading to the stress, the negativity, and all of the overwhelm that you might be experiencing. So if you understand kind of how it's sabotaging you, how it's hurting you, you start to understand some of the ways through it, then ultimately what I want to do is I want to challenge you this week for the next couple of days to, number one, start to pay attention to the language that you're using and catch yourself anytime you are shoulding on yourself. Anytime you catch yourself and say, I should have gotten up earlier, I should get more done, they should be working harder, I should be working harder, I should have done this, I should have done that, start to replace it with could and must, and start to watch how many times that happens, and start to watch your energy and your decisions change. And so I want you to kind of really take this from understanding to application and integrate it into your everyday life. And go ahead and comment below if you have done this, if this is starting to make a difference for you, or just DM me on Instagram and let me know if this is helping. And I'll see you all in the next one.